Listen, lads, I hear ya. Make an armpit tier list, make an armpit tier list. Relax. Take a little chill pill. Turn on some Meek Mill and allow my rankings to make you slightly ill. So in case you're mentally retarded and didn't grasp the video concept from the intro, today we're gonna be ranking every single Overwatch hero based on how hot their armpits are, starting with D.Va. Here's the thing. Armpits don't usually come in many different forms. The main differences between them are the color, amount of hair, and the material they're made out of. So if it sounds like I'm repeating myself a bit, I probably am, because most of these heroes have similar axillas. Now, D.Va is a very petite woman, which makes her arms rather small, leading to D.Va having very polite looking armpits. I never thought I would call an armpit polite, but hey, I also never thought I'd be ranking fucking armpits either, so. D.Va has very pleasing pits in my opinion. Like, I can almost guarantee you that they smell like Doritos and salmonella, and those two things together make a magnificent smell. Just ask Valorant players. So now that we've all come together in a consensus, let's put D.Va in B tier. Solid start. Speaking of solid starts, I gotta say, Doomfist is a master in making me solid, because his arms are so solidified that it gives his armpits a solid chance to be spectacularly defined. So do me a solid and hear me out. Doomfist has to go in S tier. They're perfect. Perfect, down to the last minute detail. Next up we got JQ, and I used the Queef Queen as this video's teaser for a very specific reason, because Pit, my right hand to God, I'm so fucking funny, does Junkrat Queef have some terrific testosterone tit pits. I wish I didn't use that The Boys meme when talking about Doomfist, because that would have been absolutely perfect here. But JQ's pits are perfect, so I'm putting her in S tier. Next up is Malga. It's impossible to see this man's pits due to his gargantuan sized biceps that block their view, but luckily I found a pit pic. But unfortunately his pits low-key look like a fat bitch's ass crack, so I'm not going to be able to rank Samoan Samuel Sulek any higher than a D tier. Next up we got the only way I could have any fun with Orissa's armpits whatsoever is if I had some trucker grease, because her armpits are just one giant ball joint. That being said, I could add 2 more balls to said joint. Everything that was just said is a joke for legal purposes. Orisa, F tier. Next up is Ramatra, and real quick, allow me to apologize for Ram's brutal ranking in the voice tier list. It's come to my attention that the community as a whole agrees that Ramatra should have been placed higher, so I hope you forgive me when I say, fuck you. I went easy on that Omnic son of a bitch. If I was being 100% truthful, he would have been in F tier. Now that the elephant is out of the room, let's talk about Ram's armpits. They're non-existent, but let's just play pretend real quick and hypothesize what they would look like. In Ram's regular form, they wouldn't be anything special, but in his nemesis form, they may just make me act up. His armpits are the size of a fucking crater when he's in nemesis, and craters are fucking awesome. So I'm gonna slide Ramatra straight into C tier. Next up is Reinhardt, and I just know that this man has the most angelic armpits in the Triggerverse. His arms are massive, his shoulders are massive, which can only mean his armpits are massively attractive. The amount of glory his armholes permit can only be defined as a gloryful glory hole, and Ryan can engage with a glory hole anytime he wants, let me tell you. Reinhardt, A tier. Next up is Bubba, and as you all know, I have a deep love for Sir Bubba, and if you don't believe that my love for Bubba sparks as deep as I say it does, I'll let someone else say it.
The Bubba lover, Noxylicious.
Similar to Malga, Bubba's armpits are a rare sighting, but I can imagine what they look like. Absolutely immaculately articulate armpits is what they are. So I'm going to put Bubba where he should have been in every other tier list. S tier. Next up is Sigma, and without his armor on, Sigma is your average run-of-the-mill spiffy mental patient. His build is surprisingly nice for a man who's constantly hearing non-existent melodies. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that Sigma has pretty average axillas. So I'm going to slide him straight into C tier. Next up is Winton. Let's be honest and make this quick. Winton's a gorilla, which means he has an absurd amount of hair everywhere, including his armpits. And since this monkey man is constantly jumping around like fucking King Kong, you just know that shit stink. So I'm gonna end this discussion right here. Winton, F tier. Next up we got Wrecking Ball. Everything I just said about Winton also applies to this ugly fucker. Now you can argue that Hammond's armpits are cute, since in the grand scheme of things, all he is a cute little hamster. But that's not denying the fact that his armpits are still not appealing. Unless you're into bestiality, you don't think Hammond's pits are attractive in the slightest. Then again, he's still a cute little twat, so I'm gonna give him a D tier. Next up we got Zarya. All you gotta do is take a gander at Zar's frame to fully formulate an opinion. Zarya's pits can be described in one word: extravagant. In fact, everything about Zarya could be considered extravagant, but I'm gonna save that discussion for the grand finale. So Zarya's going in S tier. You know what, I'm gonna switch things up a little bit. Let's gloss over the DPS heroes and talk about the superiority, the supports. And first up we got Ana. Now Ana's an absolute baddie, as we all know, especially ancient Ana. From examining Ana's features for an elongated amount of time, I have come to the conclusion that she most likely has a delectable set of delicate armpits. You may be wondering how I came to that conclusion, and all I have to say is once you spend a Google amount of time pondering at someone, you start to understand their layout, even if you haven't actually seen it in full. Alright, I'm gonna stop talking in hopes I don't end up on the registry. Ana's going in A tier. Next up is Baptiste, and they say that Bap's armpits are an old legend. Wait, that's not even a Bap line. That was literally the only thing I had written down for Bap, and it's not even his fucking voice line. To be honest, now I'm just disappointed. Let's move on. Baptiste, A tier. Next up we got Burgert, because I almost guarantee that Briggs got some leftover yogurt in them pits. I don't know where the fuck that shit came from. What the hell? There's a very in-depth reason why I highlighted Brig in the thumbnail, because she has the most beautiful armpits that I have ever seen. Then again, I haven't really examined very many armpits before, only a couple thousand. Brig is perfect, so I'm gonna put her in S tier. Next up we got Illyrie, and Diari, in all honesty, seems like the type of woman to have rather hairy armpits. It's nothing personal to her, that's just the vibe I'm getting from her. Somehow, some way, somebody's gonna take that as racist, but what can I say? I am a huge racist. Like, I used to race a shit ton of quads back in my youth. Alari, C tier. Next up we got Kiriko, and before I say anything, go ahead and scroll to my most popular video on this cancerous channel, and in case you're a lazy sack of ass, allow me to just show you. Take a look at this Kiriko photo. Her armpits are magnificent. They are nearing perfection, and I'm nearing erection. So let's wrap this up before I have to wrap myself up, if you know what I mean. Kiriko's going in S tier for sexual. Next up is Lifeweaver. I don't know why I feel this way. Lifeweaver's got the perfect male armpits. I've never actually seen them, but I just know they're cleanly shaven. If there's any artist watching this video, which I know there's at least a couple, please kindly deliver me a Lifeweaver armpit drawing in my Discord. Link in description. If I liked dick and balls other than my own, Lifeweaver and I could be something faux wheel. So I'm gonna put my boy in S tier. Next up is Lucio, and I'm going to try and be as least harsh as possible when saying this. Lucio is not my cup of Jack Daniels, cause T is for pussies. I've never actually seen the pits themselves, but I'm just gonna assume that they're below mid. So unfortunately for the Spotify king, I'm gonna have to give my boy a D tier for dung water. Next up is Murky, and you just know it's shaved. I imagine Mercy's skin to be very soft in a sense that she moisturizes every single day, multiple times a day. And with such soft skin, her axillas must be silky smooth as well. So now that I've just verbally assaulted Mercy in a rather strange way, I know exactly where she belongs. S tier. Next up is Moira. Now what I'm about to say has always sat in the back of my mind. Whenever I look at Moira, I can't help but imagine the scent of cat piss reeking from her body. I have no idea why, but that thought just lives in my mind rent-free. That being said, her armpits have to smell like boofy asshole cheeks, and I guarantee they're hairy as well. Everything about Moira is a massive red flag, so I'm gonna slide her straight into F tier for fentanyl. Next up is Zen, and as y'all know, I am a certified omnicist, which means I'm racist against omnic beings. This dude's arms are scarily anorexic. No wonder the main thread on him are his grippers. So unless you're into armpits with metal shavings as hair, we can both agree that Zen deserves a solid F tier. The Zen slander never stops. Moving on to the damage per second heroes. Let's begin with Ashe. They're amazing. I mean, seriously. What else do you want me to say about her? She is the hottest hero in the game after all, so her armpits are going to be ranked higher by default. So, I'm going to put Ashe in S tier. Next up we got Bastion. F tier. Next up is Cassidy, or as my grandma would call him, Carsity. Yes, my grandmother watches my videos. Go ahead and greet her in the comment section and I'll force her to reply to you. Cassidy is a man full of testosterone, so he's gonna have some hair in them pits. But that's not a bad thing in this case, since it would low-key be a little weird if his pits were shaved. Like, who the fuck you shaving him for, brother? I know it ain't me. Luckily though, Cass doesn't appear to be expecting any armpit visitors, so I'm gonna give him an A tier. Next up is Echo, and low-key, I fuck with it. I know I've been slandering the robots this entire video, but the little speaker thing that's fused into her armpit is kind of fun looking. That was the strangest statement that's ever came out of my mouth, and that's saying something. So yeah, this may come as a surprise, but I'm gonna give Echo a B tier. Don't be afraid to experiment a little bit, lads. Next up is Genji, and holy shit, I am rapidly changing my views on the robots right now. Genji's another non-human hero that has a very attractive set of armpits on him. Again, I don't exactly know how to describe what I'm feeling right now, but they're just beautiful. So I'm gonna place Genji in B tier, right alongside Echo. Next up is Hanzo. Now I have a boner to pick with this Shimada. Hanzo's the type of guy that braids his armpit hair, and also uses fucking incense as deodorant. Now don't get it twisted, no pun intended. Incense smells fucking immaculate, but Hanzo's choice of incense is probably like fairy dust or some shit. Who am I kidding? He most definitely uses dragon's blood. I have no idea why I just rambled about incense for that long, but Hanzo has some decent armpits, so I'm gonna put him in C tier. Next up is Junkrat, and if Junkrat were to have an incense scent, it would be fucking goat butter. Not because he's the goat, but because he smells like a goat. Cause Jesus Christ, this man is disgusting. Junkrat's armpits are just what you'd expect from an anorexic druggie who wallops black tar heroin all day. I should really make a dedicated holy fuck, how many dedicated whams do you have on the server? I should really make a dedicated Junkrat slander video. Let me know if you want to see that. Anyways, Junkrat's going in F tier. Surprise, surprise. Next up is Mei, and allow Mei to glaze Miss Mei real quick. They're beautiful. The skin flaps elegantly blowing in the wind, acting as a pit chime, really just hammers down Mei's armpit vibe. Mei has more mass to her, which isn't a bad thing at all. In fact, I reckon it adds to her spiffiness quite well. So I'm gonna give Mei a solid B tier in the autistic armpit tier list. Next up is Farah. Similar to Mercy, Farah's beautiful skin is the sole reason she's getting a high ranking, cause Farah's Egyptian shaded skin tone is purely pleasurable to look at, and I reckon she has pleasant smelling clean shaven pits. So without spiraling into insanity any further, I'm just gonna go ahead and rank Farah in S tier. Next up is Reaper, and if you saw the last video, you probably think I'm about to make a joke about how Reaper's pits stink and poke fun at how ugly I think they are, but you'd be mistaken. When I look at Reaper without all of his gear equipped, I see a man who most certainly wears Dior Sauvage and deodorizes with Old Spice. And if a man uses Old Spice, you know their armpits are sexy. So I'm gonna give Reaper an enthusiastic A tier. Next up is Sojourn, and oddly enough, whenever I picture Sojourn, I picture a woman who most certainly does not use grooming products, leading to junglified armpits. You could mistake Sojourn's armpits with one of those raccoon fur hats. You just gotta pray that the raccoon hat does not have any eggs. Speaking of raccoon eggs, did y'all see he uploaded a video a few days ago? Thought I'd never see the day. But anyways, Sojourn's armpits are a hard pass, although they're certainly not as bad as Junkrat's. So I'm gonna give her a D tier. Next up is Soldier. Now unlike Cassidy, Soldier is expecting visitors, which means he is almost guaranteed to be clean shaven, not only in his armpits, but also on his nut pit. Nut pit would be a dope ass name for a subreddit. I just don't know what it'd be about. Soldier's pits are as great as they come. So I'm gonna put him in A tier. Next up is Som Brat, and I just know the maxillas smell like Bath and Body Works cinnamon scented perfume. Maybe throw in a little hint of Dingleberry Dewclaw in the mix as well. On a sightseeing standpoint, Sombra's pits don't disappoint either. Her armpits are another case of perfection, so she's going straight into S tier. Next up is Symmetra, and I was gonna skip the Sim and Sombra going hand in hand joke this video, but they're always the most replayed, so fuck it, enjoy. Symmetra is pretty much identical to Sombra, since everything I just said about Sombra applies to Symmetra as well. Besides the scent part, I reckon Sim has a more aquatic vibe going on. Why the fuck do I keep talking about scents? That's for another video. Symmetra has delicate looking armpits, so she's going in S tier. Next up is Torbjorn, and I know these bitches smell like grease and motor oil. The amount of lard in between Torb's bicep and armpit could feed the entire continent of North America, and that's saying something, because the average American citizen weighs the equivalent of a beluga whale. So Torbjorn, D tier. Next up is Tracer. They're shaven. No doubt about it. The fact that Tarser is so thin increases the chance of her cleaning her armpits by a significant margin. She is also very pale and has a pleasant tone to her skin. So yeah, Tracer's an A tier. Next up is Venture. Venture's a miner, spelled M-I-N-E-R, which means they aren't gonna smell good by default. The amount of BO that's gonna reek from Venture's abysmal pits could emit more radiation than the Chernobyl power plant. Venture's armpits don't stick out to me in being special in any way, so I'm gonna essentially slide Vin into C tier. Lastly, we got Widowmaker, and what a way to end things. There's not a spot on this French stick's body that doesn't make me sing orchestras in my head. It genuinely pisses me off that Widowmaker doesn't have any major flaws, because I'm getting tired of ranking her up here every video. But hey, she deserves it. Widowmaker, easy S tier, baby. And that about does it. As fucked as my search history is, I felt the weirdest looking up armpit pics. Like, I have no shame looking up animated titty pics all day, but armpits, I can't help but feel ashamed of myself. Maybe this is why y'all wanted me to make this video so bad, to self-reflect. And if that's the case, thank you. I will make sure to do better next time. Anyways, next video is ranking each Overwatch hero's fat fucking meat stick, so I'll see you then.